All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. I have been vested. I have indeed been vested. Thank you to everyone who has supported the show so far. Appreciate that very much. If you have not watched part 1 yet on YouTube, I recommend you go do that first, since a lot of questions were answered in part 1. We're now going to be finishing up the forum questions and heading into Twitter questions on this part, okay? So, welcome back, everyone, to Ask the King, episode 86 for May 27th, 2021. Thank you so much, everyone who's chilling with me so far today. See you later, Habib Gaming. He's taking off. All right, are we ready for the next part? I hope so. All right, so first of all, what I would like to do is take a segment here to say thank you to my patrons, because this particular month, with the fact that Twitch basically ridiculously mistreated me in the way that they did and kicked me out of the partnership with no justification whatsoever, I needed help. And people stepped up and said, we're going to pledge to Phil's Patreon for the first time in many, many years, just to help him out in this time of need. And I appreciate everyone that did. So what I want to do is give a shout out, and there's a lot of people who pledged who normally wouldn't have, and I want to give them some credit and say thank you very much for that. So thank you to the following people who were patrons in this last month, okay? Kevin Stiles, Legits, Only Iced Coffee, Big Tone 995, Fantasy Star PG, Jared Jackson, Comer Olson, King Trev Slayer, LM, Maya the Bees, Planet Jeff, Rashed Bash, excuse me. During the break, by the way, I step out of my office, I go into the bathroom to use it, and I sneeze all over the place. Pollen. I start sneezing everywhere. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So now, my post-nasal drip is going crazy, it's going down my throat, it's bothering me. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, I was fine. And then the moment I stepped out of this office, there was pollen, and it affected me. I'm like, this really sucks. Anyway, let's continue. Tilikum, Trey Coley, 2 Bar King, Carlos Venegas, David Denmark, Diocletian 60, Michael Denault, Midnight Mouse, Faithin, QPZMWN, Richard, Riley Hagan, Sean Given, Stormforce Gamer, Thomas McDonald, and Tony Frank. Thank you all for your support. In particular, you know, this last month, it really helped me out a lot at a time when I was getting no income from Twitch because they screwed me over. As you guys know, I was attempting to stay on Twitch. That was my intention. My intention was, hey, it may be rough, but I built a community over there and I wanted to stay there. But the moment that they suspended my account for something I did not do was the moment I said, I got to get out of here. It's one thing if it was a false DMCA claim. They were trying to say that I said the N-word, and I never said the N-word. And that was the end of that for me. If you're going to tell me I'm doing something I did not do and punish me for it, I don't even care that in an hour they took a look at it and realized I didn't do it. I don't even care about that, okay? I really don't. What I care about is that they did the wrong thing to begin with. Someone there, whether it was an automated system, whether it was an actual someone reviewing it out of context and being stupid, whoever it was that suspended Darkside Phil on Twitch, that was the end of it for me. Like, I don't want to be at a place where I can be actually concretely punished for something I did not do. I'm just not going to do it. You know, the DMCA shit last year was annoying because, yes, it's false and it takes a little bit to clear up. In that case, you can kind of at least defend Twitch and say, well, if you take a look at the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, it's very strict, and if Twitch didn't uphold every claim, they could be sued by someone who's actually legitimately claiming something, and that's why they do it. I completely disagree with that. I think that what they're doing in case of DMCA is completely illegal. By you actually taking down content before reviewing it to make sure there was a violation, you are actually violating DMCA law. You're doing something illegal in the name of a law before you verified the law was broken. Therefore, you're breaking the law. Right? That's like saying, well, I was walking down the street and I tackled the guy and punched him out. When the cops came, I said, oh, well, I did it because that guy robbed the bank. I had no evidence that he robbed the bank, but, you know, I thought he robbed the bank, so I tackled him. I punched him out. Citizen's arrest, right? You can't do that. You need legal evidence or else you're breaking the law. You can't fucking do that. So, to me, to be told you're being punished for something you didn't do is bullshit. With the MCA, I completely disagree with the way they enforce it, but at least you could say, well, there's a reason why they do it. They don't want to get sued. In the case of taking down my channel, saying I said the N-word when I never did, there's literally no defense. There's nothing they can say that justifies the actions they did. They just did the wrong thing outright. And then an hour later said, oh, we messed up, we're going to fix it. No. No. Sorry. The moment that you do that to me and you say that I did something wrong that I didn't do, everyone watching the stream knew I didn't do it, right? That's the end of it for me. I'm not going to continue to do business on a place where you're going to punish me for things I didn't do. And then, at the same time that's happening, they came out and emailed me and told me the reason that you lost your partnership was because of hate speech or hateful speech. Hateful slurs, I think, actually was the actual proper wording they said. Hateful slurs. I don't use hateful slurs. I never have. I never will. Every once in a while over the 13 years that I've made content, out of the how many thousands and thousands of videos and ridiculous amount of hours of content I put out, probably on two hands, you can count the amount of times that you can say I said something hateful in a slur fashion, right? I'm not a racist. I'm not a bigot. I've been one of the most open-minded guys when it comes to this stuff. And for them to tell me that is absolutely unacceptable. You telling me you actually launched a real investigation into my content. You reviewed hours and hours of content. Okay? Hours and hours of content. And you're telling me that there's enough evidence that I have done overall hateful conduct on Twitch that you would kick me out of your partnership program. But there's no actual evidence. You won't present any. There's no justification. There's nothing to prove what you're saying. You're just saying it happened and therefore I'm out of the partner program, right? That's enough. I'm done. You know, I did my best. I did my absolute best to stay on Twitch. I will not be at a place that's going to abuse me, that's going to treat me like shit. It's going to be completely unprofessional with how they go about enforcing these things. It's one thing if they said, here's the evidence of what you've done wrong. You're now suspended from the partner program for 30 days because you did the wrong thing. Don't do it again. Learn from this. Not, you're just out of the partner program. There's no evidence or anything. You'll have to ask us for 3 weeks to get us to even respond to your request. Oh, well, goodbye. No. Fuck you. And I mean that sincerely. From me, Phil Burnell, as a content creator, as a business owner, and as a human being, dear Twitch bigwigs who treat people like shit, fuck you. You don't get the ability to mistreat people like that. That's not something that you should be able to do. You're scum. You don't treat people like scum. Someone who's making a living on your site and you treat them like scum. No, you are a scumbag. And far worse than anything I could have ever done that you're accusing me of but have no evidence of. You are far worse than that by doing what you did and treating me like that and treating anyone like that. We're going to kick Dr. Disrespect off of Twitch with no actual evidence of anything or justification. Now, it's funny because when that happened, right? When that actually happened, people were very skeptical. They were like, nah, there's no way we could believe that Dr. Disrespect, one of the biggest content creators on Twitch, could be just kicked out of the business and not given any justification. I believe it now 100%. Because it happened to me. It happened to me. It took them 3 weeks to even tell me what I did wrong, no evidence of what I did wrong, and won't respond to my requests. So, yeah, to hell with them. There's absolutely, positively, no reason for me to ever go back to Twitch after being mistreated like that. Maybe if there's a shift in management and over there they say, oh, we're completely gutting the place because we realize the people who are in charge don't know what they're doing. They're completely unprofessional with the way they've been handling this stuff. We need them out of here, and we're going to come back and we're going to redo everything properly. We're going to get new people in place to actually care about the content creators that are here. People who make a living don't just get kicked off the site for no reason. You know, that would be nice. Then maybe I would consider going back. There is not a single reason for me to try to go back to Twitch at this point. There's none. I've done nothing wrong. They've produced no evidence that I did anything wrong. I'm not going to go stream on a site that treats me like shit. That's a personal insult to me, the way that they treated me. And I absolutely, positively refuse to go back and be treated like garbage. What is this? That's Stockholm Syndrome. I'm going to go back to the place where I know that I'm going to be mistreated and just keep getting mistreated, right? And I want to publicly apologize to all of you here because I know that some of you are people who were viewers on Twitch, and I also want to publicly apologize to those who were my viewers on Twitch who are not going to come over to YouTube. I know. YouTube is different. YouTube chat system is terrible. There's certain reasons why some people would not gravitate over to YouTube. And I know that, and I'm sorry for that. Because I didn't want this to happen. I wanted to stay at a place where we could have this fun community and that we built there for 5 years. But sadly, I hate to say it, they don't care. They just want to do things how they want to do it. Apparently, they don't feel they're better than you, that they don't have to justify anything they do. I'm better than you, man. No, I'm not going to fucking do that. I'm not going to play that game and be abused by these people. They literally need to apologize to me for the way they treated me for me to go back there and stream on there. And they're not going to. You know they're not going to. They don't care. They're soulless. They've become a soulless corporation. Just like Machinima did, you know, over the years. Machinima started out one way, completely changed into another company over the years to the point where I didn't want to do business with them anymore. And now they don't exist anymore. So if they keep down the road that they're going, they may not go out of business because they're backed by Amazon. So I don't feel like Twitch is going to go out of business. But what's going to end up happening is it's going to become a place where only a certain kind of person wants to put out content, and it ain't going to be someone like me. Not someone who's taking it seriously, who wants to be professional, who cares about their community. Those people are not going to stick around on Twitch. Not when the front page of Twitch promoted is a bunch of half-naked women in fucking pools, splashing water on their bodies and taking in donations. That's not going to fly for people who actually want to do something professional and real and meaningful, okay? There's plenty of other places on the internet you could get softcore porn from. You don't need to go to Twitch for it. And the fact that they're kicking legitimate content creators off the site who did nothing wrong, but they're promoting that, that should be a sign that they're going down the wrong way, and I want nothing to do with it, all right? So I apologize to all of you who wanted to have that community continue on Twitch. There's a reason why I'm gone. It's a very good reason, and I ain't going back. Because some people were asking, oh, Phil, you said you were going to give them a week. Did they respond? They never responded. They're not going to respond. They're not. They know they don't have to, and they know that there's no skin off their back. Who cares, right? So if they don't care about me, I don't care about them. Those people who made the decision to mistreat me can go fuck themselves. They're fucked up people. They did far worse to me than I've ever did anything on Twitch, that's for sure. And I'm done with that. Let them have their fucking porn site, and I can be over here putting out content for you guys that I care about and you guys care about. Okay? Okay. Okay. Now, let's continue. So, our next question is from Kill Bill 2016, and he says the following. Recently, a Days Gone actor suggested some reviewers did not finish or rushed through the game, creating misleading reviews. Do you think that reviewers should be obligated to track their time and state in their review readers can judge how accurate their opinion may actually be? Do you think that you always have to finish a story to be able to truly review a game? Just a side note, I love that you are on YouTube now. I can finally watch you live on my TV instead of on my iPad. Well, Kill Bill, I have been one of the people over the years who has been incredibly critical of these mainstream reviewers and the way that they go about their business. I have always argued that there needs to be accountability. By the way, shout out to InDead, who just became a channel member. I will have to check, because I know we got a bunch of channel members this stream. By the end of this stream, I'll have to check and update the total members. I wish that it was easy to do like it is on Twitch. It's not. I have to go to a menu. I have to do math. It's really stupid the way they do it over here on YouTube, okay? I have been a person who has been very critical of reviewers over the years and said that these mainstream reviewers, there's the dancing animation, the mainstream reviewers are not held accountable, and that's not good. They should be held accountable for what they say and do in their reviews. They should be absolutely be saying, I played this much, this is the content I did in my playthrough, it took me this long to beat the game, I'm this kind of a person, yada, yada, yada. How do you know? You're just reading a random review with someone's name on it. Does that person usually play that kind of game? Have they played previous games in the franchise to have a background if this game is better or worse than previous games in said franchise? Did they just play another first-person shooter that they can directly compare this one to? You know, how long did they play the game? I played the multiplayer for 2 hours, 5 hours, or 50 hours. Those are going to be 3 completely different perspectives on a game. You see? None of that is done in most mainstream game reviews. Maybe there are a few out there. I don't want to say no, none. That's kind of overgeneralizing. In general, okay, mostly these game review sites don't do that. They are completely irresponsible, and they act like just because they're journalists with an opinion, that their opinion is protected no matter what, so they can say and do whatever they want about a game, and they're fine. That is completely and utterly bullshit. That is called you don't take your job seriously, you're not a professional, and you don't deserve a paycheck for it. Because if you're just going to say anything you want about a game without any justification, you did not do the service of putting out a real review. That's not a review. A review has certain criteria associated with it to give it merit. There's a difference between a stupid off-the-cuff opinion and a review. But for some reason, gaming media don't understand the difference between a opinion and a review. They think they're the same. They're not. They're completely different. A review is supposed to have all these other factors involved so that you know that someone was being professional when they actually gave that said review. Okay? So, for example, in the case of Days Gone, this is a very unique case, I feel. And let me explain why. In the case of Days Gone, this is a game that if you only play it for the first 5 to 10 hours, you haven't even gotten into the real game. The intro segment of Days Gone, which is arguably about 10 hours long, you're learning gameplay mechanics that are repetitive and boring. You're learning the basic combat. You're learning about how to take out the zombie camps that are set around the map. And you're doing some basic interactions with people, fetch quests, etc. That's the first 10 hours, all right? After you get past that segment and you leave the early areas of the game and you go to the new settlements, you're going to open up branching story arcs. You're going to open up meaningful side content, character development that wasn't present in the first 10 hours, and tons of new gameplay elements that also was not present in the intro segment. So if you play past the first 10 hours, the game actually completely changes. And my opinion on the game changed too. When I was first playing it, my first 2-3 streams, I was like, man, I don't even know if I'm going to finish this. This is boring. And then once I got to that segment, I was like, whoa, I was hooked. I was riveted. I was like, wow, I definitely want to beat this game. The story picked up in a big way. Now you're fighting giant mobs of zombies and using these cool traps and things to defeat them. Okay? And so, to me, I can definitely see, as someone who did not like the first 10 hours, but then was blown away by the rest of the game, why someone who is a reviewer and only played the intro to the game doesn't even know that the game is good. All right? Now, what's funny about this is there seems to be this inclusive community of game reviewers, developers, and journalists who all know each other. They're all buddy-buddy. And they all try to defend each other constantly. I've seen it. On Twitter, I've seen game journalists actually post up a tweet that says something like, you got to realize that we're within time constraints and we can't always rush through a game and beat it in a certain amount of time. So we're just doing our best, man. We're doing our best, man. Okay. So let me get this straight. You work for IGN. You're given a game to review. You're expected to do a professional, dignified review of that game that thousands of people, maybe even arguably hundreds of thousands of people around the globe will read and judge whether or not they're going to purchase that game based on your review. Oh, well, I didn't have enough time, man, so I just kind of rushed through it and then I reviewed it. No. If that's the case, don't put out your review in a rush. Because the truth is, if people took their time to play these games and actually did these respectful reviews and just justifiable reviews, they would actually post up everything that they're doing. Today's the first day I'm playing the game. I'm playing it for 5 to 6 hours. Here's my initial impressions. I will take this as a running log of things that I'm doing in the game, and by the time that I'm done with this game in a week, then I'll post up my review. The problem is, these companies are so desperate for your day one attention, for the ad revenue they get on their websites, for the day one video reviews that they put out, that they need to rush through and put out completely half-finished reviews in order to make money. That is a terrible business model, okay? Back in the day, these companies used to get games ahead of time by 1 to 2 months. They would play the games, review them. The review would be out weeks before the game even came out because it was a print medium. There was no online websites. It was EGM, GamePro, Game Informer had to make a print medium, a magazine. Had to come out early so that people would have a game review and know if a game was good or not. Those people played the games in a rushed setting, all right? Admittedly, sometimes those reviews weren't the best, all right? But that's why we had that practice. That's why, okay? Today, we don't need that practice anymore. Today, no one needs to get a game early, whether it's a mainstream site like IGM, GameSpot, Game Informer, or an independent game reviewer, someone who's just a content creator. No one needs to get a game early. Here's what really should be happening. The game releases, everyone buys the fucking game. Not everyone gets it for free because you're some special selected golden content creator or reviewer, and so you get treated buddy-buddy. And so, oh, because I got the game free, now I'm probably going to review it positively because I want to have a relationship with that company moving forward. It's completely illegitimate. There's no way that you can have this trust system with journalists that because they're getting shit for free and they're having this ongoing positive relationship with a game publishing company that they're going to legitimately review things fairly. There's no way that can happen. When you have the possibility of having further benefit by reviewing things in one way, you will tend to review things that way. Even if you don't know it or intend it, it's still going to happen, okay? Now, in the case, by the way, shout out to Babu, who did a super chat. Thank you, Babu. In the case of Days Gone, I don't know what the situation was. But the funny part was, it seemed like no one was kissing this game's butt. It was the opposite situation. Everyone was criticizing the game for the first 10 hours, and very few reviewers were actually talking about any of the stuff that happened after the first 10 hours. I know. I read some of these reviews, and I was like, how it's like they didn't even pay attention to the game after the first 10 hours. But I would go as far to say I would probably think most of them didn't play past 10 hours. They played the 10 hours, they thought that's representative of the whole game, and they put out a game review that wasn't actually representative of the real game because they didn't bother putting the time into it. Days Gone is actually a very long game. Remember my playthrough was like 40 hours or something like that? So if you've only played the intro segment, you've only played 25% of the game. You're receiving a paycheck to put out a review on only 25% of the game, but you're not being transparent in your review to say you've only played 25% of the game. So some person who doesn't know that goes to IGN, goes to GameSpot, goes to Game Informer, goes to wherever. Oh, it's a 6 out of 10. I guess that's a skip for me, man. And that's not fair. That's definitely not fair. It's not. It's ridiculous. Yes, I 100% agree with you, Kill Bill. Game journalists, game reviewers, if this is your job, you're getting paid for it. You need to be held by a professional criteria by which everyone is graded to prove that you actually did the work. Because I don't believe it. I don't. When I see some of these game reviews and shit, I don't believe it. I find it very hard to believe that these people who don't seem to know about things that happen later on in the game don't talk about that shit in their review. I just don't get it. I think that these people are literally getting the game early by a week, rushing through as much as they can play, and then putting out a half-finished review so that at least they have something to put out in time for release embargo, or wherever the embargo was lifted, they can put out the review so they can get the day one views, the day one ad revenue, and then their job is done. They don't care if the game sells or not. They don't realize that there are direct repercussions for them being irresponsible with what they're doing. Okay? Now, I'm not saying it's everyone. I don't want anyone to get the wrong impression. It's not every single reviewer. It's not every single major site. But I have definitely seen shit like this over the years that I'm like, how on earth can you say that this is a legit review? I just don't understand it. Okay? And it's disgusting in a way because this industry of gaming is the biggest entertainment industry in the world. It's bigger than movies. It's bigger than television. It's bigger than music. It's bigger than all that combined. But it's not treated like that. It's actually treated like it's something brand new. A brand new medium out of nowhere has appeared that now we don't have to be professional about it. Why not? If everything else has to be professional, why doesn't gaming have to be professional? Why do we have people whose your job to put out a review and you do a half-assed review, but that's an opinion. Defend it. No. Bullshit. It's bullshit. I'm so tired of it. And I also hate this bandwagon mentality that it just seems collectively, all of a sudden, the media community, the gaming media, gaming journalist community decides what games are good and what games aren't with no justification. The Last of Us 2, again, not going to go into a big rant about this. I have actual, factual reasons. I'm not opinions, but factual reasons why The Last of Us 2 is not a great game. Actual narrative faux pas that they used in the way the game panned out. I'm not saying the graphics or the gameplay, the accessibility. I'm saying the story itself is monstrously flawed. If a writing teacher or a professional high-level writer who writes for a living were to grade the story of Last of Us 2, they would give it a fucking D-. The game is poorly written. Incredibly poorly written. That's really the only major problem I have with the game, too. Like, I like the game overall, except the story is badly done. So, why do no game reviewers call that out? It's a fact. It's not an opinion. If you actually have someone who knows what the fuck they're talking about, watch that game or play that game, they will tell you that story is shit. They will say, no, you don't have the story start here, jump back here, then go here, then go here, then go here. It's disjointed. It's jarring. It's annoying to the player that you do that. You don't have characters completely act out of character from how they were in the previous installment. Then what was the investment of even playing the first game? You might as well only play Last of Us 2 and never played the first game, because if you did, you're going to get pissed off with how these characters behave in the sequel because they're not the same characters. Anyone could factually point this out. Not one single mainstream game reviewer pointed that shit out. A lot of independent guys did. There were independent content creators who pointed the flaws out with the narrative of the game, but not the main guys. Why not? I want to know. I want to know why there was this collective agreement that The Last of Us 2 instantly was the best game ever made. What was this collusion? Because that's exactly what I feel it was. It was collusion among games journalists that they wanted this game that was ultra progressive, right? The game that pushed certain agendas to become the quintessential face of gaming. And that's bullshit. Because the game by its own merits is a great game, but it's not the best game ever made. It has essential flaws in the narrative that should have been pointed out that were completely ignored. And I want to know why that is. If we had a grading system like Kill Bill is suggesting here, an actual grading system for how journalists have to put out their reviews, we would have an answer. But instead, it's ignore it. Ignore the flaws, the game's 10 out of 10. What are you talking about? You can't do that. That's irresponsible. And that's the system we have. Well, it's just our opinion. Best game ever, 10 out of 10. Okay. Okay, whatever you say. Anyway, that's my take on the situation. You guys know always how I felt about games journalism. So, all right. We got about 30 minutes left until we take another break. I got a couple quick shout-outs to do here. Ansheng Forever tipped me $1.30. Says, I enjoy your Ask the King streams. Thank you, Ansheng Forever. I enjoy doing them. Thank you for the support. Snow Carl tipped me $1.30. Says, why should the gaming industry act different towards any other industry in terms of product reviews, early access, movies, clothing, coffee brewers, cars, send out free samples to reviewers because the public want X to review before buying. So what you're saying is because everyone else does something wrong that it's okay for games to do it wrong too. No. We should hold everyone to a standard. We should hold everyone to a respectable, professional, and moral standard. Okay? By the way, I hate to say this, when you're talking about what you're talking about, all right? Well, for example, let's say you see a celebrity on TV and a celebrity is pushing a brand of coffee. Okay, it will actually say in the bottom of the screen and tiny ant-like text, it'll actually say, this is a paid promotion. This is not representative of the actual opinion of said celebrity. It says right on that ad, that celebrity was paid to promote the product. That's not, oh, we gave the celebrity the coffee and they legitimately tested it and said it's the best coffee ever. That's why they're saying that in this commercial. No, it's they were directly paid to say that. When you go to IGN, do you see that text at the bottom of the review? That's the difference. The difference is we have an industry in the games industry, games journalism, where we have an entire group of people who are supposed to be respectable, and they're not. They're being dishonest. They're not doing due diligence in their reviews. They're not even revealing the methods they're using to play these games and review them. They're just pumping out a number score. And it becomes this groupthink mentality to believe that's the game. And don't believe anything else. That's the number score, man. And games are selling or not selling based on this thing. And there's nothing there to say that it's a paid advertisement. You know? If someone's putting out a stream of a game early, okay, let's say, I don't know, PewDiePie gets a copy of Biomutant. I'm just completely making this up. He gets a copy of Biomutant a week early, and he's playing it on his stream, and he puts in the description of his stream, FYI, this is a free copy, it's a paid promotion. And he's kissing the game's butt in his stream. That's the fault of the viewer for not doing their due diligence to realize that was a paid promotion advertising the game, and that's why he's being so positive about it. Okay? If you go to IGN or you go to Game Informer or you go to GameSpot and you read a game review, and the review says 6 out of 10, but it doesn't disclose that they never played past the first 10 hours of the 40-hour game, that's fucked up. That's them lying to you, being dishonest to you. And that's the difference between what you're saying, Snow Carl, and what I'm saying. All right? It's a different situation. Yes, in other industries, absolutely, there is paid promotion. But these websites, these gaming journalist websites should not be paid promotion. They're being interpreted as actual reviews when a lot of the times in a case like a game like Days Gone, some of them were not. Some of them were complete bullshit. That's the point I'm making. Okay? Okay. So an anonymous $1.30 tipper says, first of all, didn't I just use game reviews to judge if I was going to skip Biomutant? Yes. Because the consensus was every single person playing the game had the same exact criticisms of the game. It wasn't, oh, one game site said this, one game site said that. The majority, and not only just the main ones, but even independent guys, had general criticisms of the game that were all common. And if that's the case, that's the difference that you know that it's probably resoundingly true overall. In the case of The Last of Us 2, there were a lot of people who were independent who said this story sucks, and they were all ignored and called bigots and brushed under the rug. In the case of Biomutant, everyone kind of agrees the game's boring as dirt after about 3 hours. That's the difference. Very different situation. It's not apples to apples comparison. Now, this anonymous tipper also says the majority of people 10 hours is too much to slog through to get to a good part of a game. That's true. That's absolutely true. I'm not saying to ignore that. Absolutely, a game reviewer who reviewed Days Gone 6 out of 10, if their review says, oh, this game is 6 out of 10 because the first 10 hours are terrible, and after that it gets really good, but you don't want to waste 10 hours of time, that's fine. My point is they didn't say that. My point is I directly read reviews that said the whole game was like that, and they were wrong. They lied because they didn't play it. There's a big difference. Again, it's not an apples to apples comparison, but nice try. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll move on to Twitter questions. So let us progress, shall we? A lot of Twitter questions today. HDMI Best is our first Twitter submitter. He says, why are you so emphatic about not doing a cooking show? Oh, boy. All right. I can seriously give you, like, the easy answer, and then I can give you the complex answer. All right, here's the easy answer. I'm not a cook. Phil Burnell, DSP Gaming, whatever you want to call me, asshole. I'm not a cook. Why would I do a cooking show if I'm not a cook, right? Now, I can give you the more advanced answer, which I'm sure is what you're really going for, all right? The reason that people have been asking questions like this is because many years ago, I'm talking roughly 10 years ago, if not even longer, I don't know, because I didn't go back to my old vlogging channels to actually see the dates and times of when I was doing this stuff. But many years ago, I was looking to diversify my content on YouTube for good reason. In the years of 2008 through early 2011, I was not doing YouTube for my job, okay? It was a hobby. I had a full-time job in an office, and then I would come home, and for 2-3 hours a night, I would play games, record them, and then upload them to YouTube. It became very popular. People liked what I was doing, but I wasn't making any money doing it at all. Back then, you could not monetize gameplay videos at all. It was not possible on YouTube. They would actually reject it. If you tried to put ads on a gameplay video, it would be rejected. They felt that it was copywritten content, and there was no rights to do that at that point. This was before people realized, Let's plays could be monetized, transformative work, yada, yada, yada. Okay? But I had enough of a following that people wanted to see me do it as much as I could possibly do it around my job. And I said, well, if that's the case, I need to kind of try to make money another way to pay for all these games that I'm buying. Because some weeks I was buying 2, 3, 4 games. You know, there's hundreds of dollars. I need a way to pay for it, right? So I opened up a vlogging channel. It was called The King of Hate HD. And this channel was meant for everything not gaming. So it was me doing vlogs of my home. It was me going on like a trip, a Street Fighter tournament, and vlogging around the Street Fighter tournament and putting that content up. It was me making jokes, doing like little skit videos, game reviews I started doing. And I don't remember 100% if I started putting them on the King of Hate HD or if that was on my other YouTube channels. But essentially the purpose of that channel was to put out a variety of videos and diversify my content. So if I wanted to monetize my content, I could. I could put ads on those videos because those videos had nothing to do with gaming at all, you see? So, in my search to create a variety of content for YouTube, I started a series called Poorly Cooking with the King. It wasn't called Cooking with the King. It wasn't an actual real cooking show. It was called Poorly Cooking with the King. It was meant to be a joke of cooking shows because I knew there were people on YouTube who were doing cooking shows, and I also knew there was a whole channel, Food Network. The whole fucking channel is people showing you recipes and how to cook stuff live, right? So what I wanted to do was kind of a parody spin-off of that, all right? And so the show was meant to be funny rather than instructional. I said ridiculously stupid things in the show. Like, what was it? I don't have time to do something that was like a basic thing of cooking because I'm a gamer. I can't even remember what it was. Like, I don't have time to butter my bread or something stupid. You know, it was something ridiculous. It was meant to be done like that. Poorly Cooking with the King was the name of the show. All right? You would, if you had never seen the show, you would tune into it thinking it was supposed to be real. And then when you actually watched the show, you would laugh your ass off because I was so bad at what I was doing on purpose. Like, I knew I wasn't a cook, you know? I knew that what I was doing was... Excuse me. Stupid allergies. I knew that what I was doing was not serious, okay? I cooked things that any Joe Schmo could make. A grilled cheese sandwich. A bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. I think one time I tried to make tuna salad, and I failed miserably. I made it disgusting. You know, that kind of stuff. Basic stuff. Basic stuff that anyone could do, but it was kind of silly because I was like, oh, I'm a gamer, and I'm going to show you how to do this stuff quickly. And what was funny was people actually, I had such a following back then. Even though the series was obviously supposed to be a joke, it was called Poorly Cooking with the King. People told me they learned how to cook stuff from that series, and I was like, how? I wasn't good at doing that. Nothing that I did in that show. Nothing that I did at all in that show. And by the way, thank you to some people who said bless you when I sneezed. Absolutely nothing that I did in that show was valid of like being emulated to learn anything. All right? It was pretty bad. Okay? And I knew that. That's why I was acting up for the camera. I was doing silly things half the time, and this is not a lie. I was drunk half the time. Those videos, a lot of the time, were done in the middle of the night. Back then, I used to drink way too much. And I would drink at night. And then after drinking, I would be hungry. I don't want to go to bed drunk with no food in my stomach and wake up with a terrible hangover. So right before I would go to sleep, I would go into the kitchen and cook something. Like an incredibly bad bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. Do you see? Matty Ice did a $5 super chat says... He says, you remember when you poured bacon grease down your toilet? Yes, I do. Hold on. I'm going to go blow my nose now because I sneezed. Now my nose is running and I'm going to cough. This sucks. I hate allergies. I fucking hate allergies, man. I hate it. God damn it. Ah! I hate it, man. Oh, man. Jeez. Okay, hold on. I'm almost ready. Ugh. Ugh. Christ. Okay, I'm coming back. Oh, okay. So, the thing is, some people, I guess, didn't get it. They didn't get the joke. Because even though I called it Poorly Cooking with the King, my character back then, the attitude that I basically had in my content was that, like, my shit didn't stink. You know what I'm saying? My content's the best. My shit doesn't stink. How dare you criticize if I made something in Poorly Cooking with the King and say that it was bad? No, I was good, right? That's how I was back then. That was kind of like a cocky attitude. That was what I was trying to push on the internet. That was part of the whole thing. And some people took that as me, like, taking it seriously or whatever. It never was. It was never meant to be a serious show. By the way, that show ran, like, what, 10 episodes? If that? I don't even remember how many episodes I did. But very quickly, by doing this show over the course of, like, a month or two, okay, I actually realized that I had nothing else to do. Like, I didn't know how to cook anything. I didn't know how to cook anything elaborate. I didn't have any real recipes to share with you guys. There's one recipe I have, my homemade Italian sauce and homemade meatballs I can make. That's about it. That's the only thing I'm good at cooking. Outside of that, I'm terrible at cooking. So I didn't have anything to do for the series. And within, however many episodes that it was, I'm sure you guys would probably know better than me because it's been so long ago. I haven't watched it since then, except for our retrospective events that we do every once in a while, right? After doing the show, I stopped doing it completely. I just dropped it, and I focused on other things. And over the years, every once in a while, people ask, well, what happened to the show? Why didn't you continue it? Why didn't you bring it back? And my answer was, because I'm not a good cook. It was a joke. It was meant to be a show to have a variety of content on a vlogging channel so I could monetize said content and make money on YouTube to pay for the games on the gaming channel. Now, in early 2011, when my gameplay channel got partnered with Machinima and I was able to monetize, I didn't want to do that shit anymore. Now, I enjoy doing Ask the King. It's a Q&A show where I answer your questions. That's a good show to continue. I enjoyed doing things like DSP Tries It, because every once in a while it would allow me to try a new item, and essentially back then, I would pay like $15 for a meal, $10-15 for the ton of shit I would buy for the DSP Tries It, and I would make like hundreds of dollars on the video. Why would I stop doing that, right? That'd be stupid. But Cooking with the King made no sense. So I stopped doing it entirely, and I focused on gameplay and the vlogs that I wanted to continue, okay? So it baffles me to this day that there are people who ask me to do Cooking with the King. It's like, what are you talking about? It was never a serious show to begin with. It lasted, what, a few months? Until it was canceled over 10 years ago. Why in the hell would you be asking me to bring back Cooking with the King? Now, in 2018, my wife moved in with me. She wasn't my wife at the time, all right? But she moved in with me, and when she moved in with me, there was an idea, okay? And by the way, this was long before the trolling that happened to her when she was on my streams a few times, and then she decided she never wanted to be on a stream ever again. This was before that, months before that, okay? So, there was an idea that we had here on the streams that if we hit a subscriber goal over on Twitch for that month, I would do a demo show with Kat where we would try to bring back Cooking with the King. But it wouldn't be a joke show like the original show was. It would basically be a reimagining of the show where now the two of us together would actually try to legitimately cook recipes. And I'm sure some of them would turn out good and some of them would be terrible. But Kat knows how to cook. I don't. So essentially, I would be filming, she would be cooking, I'd be helping her, and together we'd do these recipes. We'd test the food together to see if it was any good, and it would be a new series, okay? Guess what happened? We didn't hit the sub goal. People literally said, this is nothing for us to subscribe about. We don't care about this. This is not interesting to us in any way, shape, or form. So people didn't sub that month. It wasn't an interesting goal. I said, okay, message received. You guys don't want this content. I get it. I'll just stick to my streaming stuff, if that's what you care about. Okay? So, I never did it. And I never went back to it. Now, over the years, people ask for it again. You want to know why they ask for it? I'll tell you exactly why. Because later that year in 2018, my wife, decided to show up in a few videos of mine. There were one or two like Q&A videos we did together where we both answered questions to a live audience. Later on that year, there was a Halloween marathon where she dressed up in a costume along with me. We were dressed up in costume and playing horror games, okay? During those few streams, and then culminating in that Halloween marathon, people were so nasty to my wife. Just her glancing at the comments that were going through the stream at the time, she got incredibly upset. It really hurt her deeply to see people say disgusting things about her and insulting things about her. In her mind, she's like, I'm going out of my way, my normal life, to be a part of this content, to be a part of this community that Phil has grown on the internet for so many years. And I'm going out of my way. She had spent money. That was not a cheap costume she was wearing. That was an actual, like, expensive costume that she got to be a part of the Halloween event. And she's trying to just enjoy the game, and she keeps looking at the stream, and it's insult, insult, insult. And by the way, they're all sexist, of course. All sexist, disgusting things people are saying about her. Okay? The moderators did their best, but so many assholes flooded in. You want to know why? Because the idiots who illegally restreamed me were restreaming me. They were saying these nasty things on their streams, and then those viewers were carrying over to my real stream and regurgitating that toxic filth on my stream. It really hurt my wife. She basically told me remember, we went on break, and she told me, basically in tears, she never wanted to be on my stream ever again. She's like, I can't believe it. Like, I went out of my way to do nice things to help you in your content, and these people are so ungrateful. They're disgusting. Look what they're doing. And I told her, I said, it's always your choice if you want to subject yourself to that shit or not. I know how toxic the internet is. And if you don't want to be doing that, you don't have to. She's got her own life, stresses going on behind the scenes. She doesn't need to have extra stresses from a bunch of immature shitheads on the internet. All right? So these people hurt her so much with the way that they acted. She, since that day in 2018, has not been on a stream of mine ever again. Yeah, it's been, what, 8, 9, 10, through 2.5 years? And she has absolutely no desire to ever come back. Now, the funny part about all this is, those same people who were toxic, including the restreamers, oh, I don't know why Kat will never come on a stream again. I don't know why Kat would never be a part of Phil's content again. It must be because Phil's lying and they broke up and she doesn't really live with him. And this, you know, every little insane conspiracy theory to basically try to spin it to be something that it's not, that they were toxic, disgusting people. They concretely hurt my wife with their actions, and they're responsible for the fact that she'll never be on my streams ever again. It's not them. It's got to be something I did. That's it. They literally project their terrible behavior onto me. The evidence is there. People have those streams. They're documented, the things that people said and did on that stream. It was absolutely fucking disgusting. It was some of the worst example of human behavior you'll ever see. The things they said and did to my wife on that stream. Okay? It happened. You can't justify that and say that that's because Phil, what are you talking about? I have a very great relationship with my wife. We've lived together now for 3 years. We absolutely love the life we have together. We're very positive and happy of the future and the home life that we have. And we're happy that we don't intertwine that with the streams anymore. Because, like I said, we have our own shit going on. My wife does not need to have people be like that to her. She doesn't deserve it. She has nothing to do whatsoever with the toxic shit these idiots do on the internet. Why should she wrap herself up in that? Okay? So, speaking about all of this, the reason I'm talking about this, over the years now, since that happened, and since Kat has now said, I never want to be a part of Phil's content ever again because it's just going to be the same. It's not going to change. You know, the moment she steps foot into this office and I'm broadcasting, there'll be disgusting things said. We know that. We're not stupid. So she said, I just don't want, unless it changes, which it probably never will, I never want to be a part of that content ever again. Ever since that happened, I wish Phil would do Cooking with the King with his wife, man. I just wish they would do Cooking with the King together. Is that too much to ask? To ask for variety content, Phil and his wife cooking together? Yes, it is too much to ask. Because those shitheads are not going away, and they're not going to not be toxic to her. It's that simple. She's never going to do it. Because she wanted to do it at first, until those people acted like that, and now she will never do it again. So, if you want to look for a reason why there will never be Cooking with the King, The answer is because of what happened with my wife on those few streams. That's the answer. There will never be cooking with the king ever again. Blame the restreamers who promote that toxic behavior, and blame the people who left those restreamer streams that came over to mine and did that to my wife. That's the reason you will never see me doing a cooking show with my wife ever. Period. That's the answer. There you go. Okay. Cats Like Carl took me $1.30. Says big ups on a review copy opinions. People who would buy a game day one shouldn't be affected by IGN's early copy review. With patches and DLC, a game can be dramatically changed months later. Completely correct. What really gets me are these games that have major online components, yet people read an early review like it knows anything, right? There's no way that a game reviewer who played the game 1 or 2 weeks early got the actual online experience of what that game's going to be like for you when you buy it on launch day. So the whole review is invalid. Albert Aponte tipped me $1.30 and says, do you see any hope for BioWare Studios after remaking the Mass Effect franchise? Maybe. I would like them to make a new Mass Effect game. They are. I just hope it's good. And there's no guarantee that it's going to be good. Okay. What the? Admiral Peaceful Protest, thanks for the $1 tip. There's no way I'm reading that out. Okay, then. Atlas to me $5. He says, charge partitioning has me interested. Is that the same technique you used to do Chun-Li's walk-up super and how you store Honda's command grab? No, actually. That's different. Those things are actually move storage, and it's a glitch in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo that wasn't supposed to be in the game. That's why it only works with those moves and not others. For example, Blanca has a super. That's the same motion as Honda's and the same motion as Chun-Li's. But if you do the same thing with Blanca, it doesn't work. The trick doesn't work. No, charge partitioning is a different technique that's actually more difficult, where you're holding one direction. You're not really releasing that direction because you're usually going a different... Like, for example, you're going from down back to down forward. You've never released down, you see? So because you're doing that, you're still holding down. Now what you can do is you can do a move that normally you shouldn't be able to do, like you could do from a crouch standing jab, and then after the jab hits, then you could do a flash kick. Doesn't make sense because the move's supposed to be down up. If you're down, releasing down, pressing jab, and then up and kick, it shouldn't work, but it does. It's called charge partitioning. You're breaking up the input of the charge move by doing another move in between, and it leads to extended combos in Super Turbo and other games. But I'm not going to go into massive detail about it. It's way too complicated to try to explain on a stream like this. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're about... I can't see. Hold on. I can't see how long this part has been. I have to go look. I think we're at 50 minutes. We are. Okay. So we got time for 1 to 2 more questions before we take the final break, and then we do the final segment of the show after a break, okay? So let's do some questions here. Oh, Sir Ignatius actually tipped me $1.30. He says, I'm sorry to hear about what happened to that stream with your wife. I watched you around 2010, and then I haven't checked back until now. Wow. So I'm not caught up at all. Yeah. I mean, the things these people say and do about my family members is just beyond fucked. Like, Kat literally has never done a bad thing to anyone on the internet. Not once. There's no reason why anyone should treat her badly. Yet they did because they thought that it would get to me. And then those same people get upset that Kat's not in my content because of the way they behaved. It's like, it's your fault. Why would you get angry at me for not having my wife in my videos? You're the reason she's not in my videos and streams. Because you're a piece of shit. So, what did you expect would happen if you were bad to someone? Whoa, shit. What the fuck? That is not what I wanted to happen. Did you see that? What did you think would happen? People like bad treatment? Oh, man, I love it when people rub shit up my nose. Let me go to the store where they keep shoving turds up my nose. I love it. Let's just keep doing it. No, of course not stupid. But that's the problem. These people are fucking stupid. Let's see here. Cyclone Carl to me $2 says, well, I don't want you to bring the show back with your wife. I want it to be the old style. I just explained to you why I can't do that. I have nothing left to cook. I'm not a good cook. I don't know any recipes. I'm not going to cook. First of all, I'm not going to cook by myself at this point anyway. I live in a house with my wife. I'm not going to cook by myself. I'm just not going to have it. It's a waste of time and a waste of money. If I was going to cook, it would be with my wife. That's number one. Number two, I don't want to cook. I'm not a cook. Literally, that's the short answer. I'm not a cook. I have no desire to learn how to cook. I don't want to try recipes. It has nothing to do with me or my content at all. You're asking. That's like saying, man, I really like LeBron James. I really wish that we could see him sculpt a statue by hand. And you just keep pelting LeBron James with requests to sculpt a statue by hand. He's like, but I'm not a sculptor. What are you talking about? Why do you keep asking me to do this? I play basketball. I'm really good at it. Why do you want me to sculpt? No, you have to sculpt. What are you talking about? I'm not a cook. It was a joke. It was a joke I did 10 years ago. Okay. Now let's get back to Twitter questions. Shouty31 says, how has the move to YouTube been? Thinking face emote. Well, the move to YouTube certainly has not been super smooth. I would say there's a bunch of things that have happened that are very positive and a few things that have happened that are pretty damn negative. The positive thing is, number one, within just a week, I basically have transitioned fully. Like now I've got pop-ups working for everything. I'm basically in the groove now of how to do it. Setting up the streams and everything really isn't a big deal anymore. And I would say, in general, the stream quality has increased greatly. If you take a look at the actual visual quality of the streams that I'm putting out now, they have increased dramatically from what I used to do. 1080p 60 frames and a much higher bit rate has allowed me to put out really great quality. And the thing is, when I'm playing on PS5, you want to see that visual fidelity. The same thing I'm seeing on the TV is what you want to see on the streams, and you're getting that. Finally. Those years that I was on Twitch, I always was forced to nerf my content to not look so good. Okay? So, that's a bunch of positive things. Also, a lot of people who used to be my regulars over on Twitch have moved over. Wasn't easy. A lot of them were like, oh God, I gotta fucking make an account on YouTube and deal with all this terrible, this terrible shit. I agree with you. But many of them have come over. I'm very happy to see how many people transitioned from from Twitch to YouTube in a short period of time. I honestly was afraid that there was going to be issues where some people were going to be very resistant to doing that. But in general, most people have made the transition almost seamlessly. Hasn't been that big of a deal. Okay? I'm happy that I already had everything set up on YouTube for things such as the channel memberships, the super chatting. Like, it was already ready to go. It wasn't like, oh, now I'm starting over. I have to apply for this and do that. Everything was like, from the get-go, we could just business as usual. Forget the fact that we're not even on Twitch. Just do it over here. And it's worked out well in that regard. Okay? There's been problems. Let's be honest here. The first problem is this chat is terrible. The fucking chat is really bad on YouTube. It's a stream of comments. It's not an actual chat room. So when I turn the stream off, there's no chat. It's gone. It's not like on Twitch where there's always a chat room. I have to create the next stream ahead of time for a chat room to appear so that people can talk early before the stream goes live. Okay? Moderation is nearly impossible on here. You try to see someone who's violating the rules, you try to hide them, and then they make another account within a minute. Another fucking account comes back within a minute that's doing more toxic shit. And people will come on here, the impersonation at this point has been ridiculous. People can make identical accounts to other people on YouTube because you can have a YouTube channel that's like youtube.com/XYZ123, blah, 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 blah. And then you could change the name to be whatever you want. So you can, within 5 minutes, make another dummy account and just change the name to be someone you're impersonating, be back on my stream saying nasty stuff and pretending to be someone that you're not. It's terrible, all right? It's really bad in that regard. I'm very annoyed that YouTube has absolutely no solutions for this kind of thing. YouTube also doesn't really have proper moderation things behind the scenes. For example, if let's say I'm moderating the chat and I ban someone and then I misclick on a name and I ban someone by accident, it's like ridiculously difficult to unban the person. You have to go to a menu within a menu. You have to unban them from their own channel, but then you have to go to another menu and add them as an approved user and then remove that. It's like the most convoluted, messed up thing ever. It's really bad. And the thing is, YouTube streaming isn't new. YouTube's been having streaming since how long? I mean, I used to stream on YouTube for 2 years before I just did the 4.5 years of streaming I did on Twitch. So YouTube streaming's been around for, 7, 8 years? In 8 years, they couldn't figure this out yet. And what that sadly tells me is they just don't care. They don't want to make it better. You know what I'm saying? If they wanted to make it better, they would have. And they haven't yet. So that's a little bit annoying. And let's be honest here. I want them to improve, but you don't know if they ever will. There's a rumor that YouTube is testing certain things. For example, on YouTube, you cannot gift a membership to someone. That was a huge thing over on my Twitch channel. As people wanted to support my channel and my content, they would gift a bunch of subs out to the viewers. You can't do that here on YouTube. But the rumor is that they're working on that, and you may be able to do that later this year. Okay? The rumor is there's a closed beta right now that people have streams that are considered members-only streams. And what that means is that, excuse me, not members-only, I misspoke. Sub-only streams. What that means is you would go to my channel, DSP Gaming, subscribe to the channel, so now you're basically following the feeds of content that I put out. You'll get notified when I stream. If you've done that, now when I stream, you can chat. But if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, you can't chat. Now, this is exactly the same way that they had it over on Twitch, but it was called followers only. You had to follow the channel, which is the same as subbing here on YouTube. It was tremendous. If you set up followers only mode for like a day or two, no one could come in with a freshly made troll account and talk, so the streams were clean. But sadly, here on YouTube, it doesn't exist yet. They're testing it in beta, and the rumor is that hopefully later this year, it will be working. Now, here's the thing. If long term, all right, a lot of people sub to this channel, excuse me, I meant to say if a lot of people become members, the paid membership to this channel, and we got hundreds and hundreds of members, and we do like a late night chill stream and we notice that there's a lot of trolling, we could potentially do a members only stream where only the people who are the paid members can talk. But I don't like doing that in general because I don't want people to feel like there's a paywall to participating in my content. I think that everyone should have the right to participate. For example, there are some very frequent stream regulars who never have been able to monetarily contribute to my content. That doesn't mean that they're not appreciated, and I'm not happy to have them here and be a part of interacting with me on my streams. So I don't want to do that. A lot of people have said, Phil, it's so bad. Why don't you turn on members only streams? That's why. I don't want to create that paywall style situation. I'm hoping that they are going to do the sub only stuff coming forward. Okay? So that's kind of the thing. There's positives and there's negatives. Right now, the positives are outweighing the negatives. And I would actually argue that in the month of June, when we got things like a members goal, we're going to have the pop-ups for the super chats and all of that. Once I get to the situation where I don't have to focus just on tips constantly, I think it's going to be smooth, and it's going to kind of be how it was back on Twitch. It's just going to take a while to get there. But it's a learning experience for everyone, and I apologize to anyone who maybe has had a bad experience in the last week or two. We're doing our best here, okay? Okay. GOTM took me $1.30 and says, about Virtua Fighter, I don't care if you're skilled at the game. I want to see you play it. I care more about seeing you experience the game from a newcomer's perspective. Fair enough. I don't know exactly when it's coming out for PS Plus this month. I think it's a free for PS Plus game this month. Maybe I'll check it out if I have time. We'll see. I think there's only like 2 or 3 major releases this month that I'm planning on playing, so maybe there would be time for me to check it out because I really don't know how to play that game. I know I would be starting from scratch. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our second break of the stream. After this break, there'll be about 45 minutes left where I'm essentially just going to finish up the Twitter questions, and if we do have time to take live questions, I will. Thank you guys for the contributions. Thank you for the support. Thank you for chilling with me. I will see you all after the break. If you're here live on YouTube, just hang out. I'll be back in like maybe 5-10 more minutes. If you're watching on demand on King Hate Vlogs, check out part 3, which will be a separate video, okay? All right, guys, thanks. I'll be back in a bit.